Hello friends, welcome back to another video of tips and tricks. So in this video I'm gonna continue some tips and tricks on Ansible. So last video we saw the simple Ansible configuration file. How can we use Ansible to run commands? So in this video what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to run the playbook, and with the playbook how to create a shortcut to run your commands and use sudo with that. And I'll also show you how to run the scripts using Ansible using sudo permissions. Okay, so let's start. So in last video we saw how to run the commands like this, right? Ansible and then all and then hyphen a, and we gave the command whatever we want to run, right? So something like this, we ran it. Okay, so there you go. It is the same output which we saw in the last video too. But before we move ahead in this video, let me get rid of this warning which we are getting on all the commands. So let me modify my host file. So I have a host file here created for this demo as hosts for playbook. So if you see this file and if you see my current host file here, you will see that there are two extra lines which I have added. So that line will get rid of this warning what we are seeing for the Python. So let me just copy this to the host file. Okay. So if you see here now, the cat host file, you have these lines in here. And now if you would run that same command again, it is not gonna show you the error. So the warning is not there. Okay, now we can run the unim-r command like this, but can we run a command which actually needs sudo permission on the servers using the same format? We cannot. So let's try that. So I'm taking a simple example of sudoers file. Okay, so etc sudoers is just readable, modifiable by root user. So let's try to run this. Can we run it? No, right? So it said permission denied because etc sudoers need sudo permissions, or the user has to be root to read it or write it. Okay, so for that we have to use hyphen b option or hyphen u option to pass the root password, but in enterprise it is not recommended to use root user, so that is why we generally use sudo permission. So we will use hyphen b option, right? So hyphen b stands for become, and we have to give become method for this, and we are going to use sudo, and we will give hyphen become user, and user would be root. Okay, and then we can enter the same command what we have entered, etc sudoers, and let's try to run this. It is still gonna complain about something. I'm just running to show you the errors you can get into. So let's see what we are missing now. So see there, we are missing sudo password. We are using become method sudo, and we are trying to become root using sudo password, but we have not passed any password. So to pass the password in the Ansible command, we have to use hyphen k option. And there is a small k too. So generally it is used together, hyphen capital K and a small k. So small k is for the login access and capital K is for the sudo access. So if you want to pass the password for login as well as sudo, you have to use hyphen k, capital and a small, both. So let's use that. Now it will ask us a login password. So let me give the login password for user 1, and it is asking me the sudo password for user 1. So I'll default it to the SSH password, so I'll simply hit enter, and now it was able to run that etc sudoers command, right? But if you see here, you are not able to identify where exactly it is started. Ubuntu 01 it is here, but it was not easy to identify where it is started the next server, and if it is failed on any server, right? And this is just for two servers. If it was for more servers, like in an enterprise, you probably would have hundreds of servers, and if you're running a command with sudo using Ansible like this, you are not going to identify easily what servers it failed and what you need to exactly look for, right? And the second thing which bothers me is running a command with all these options, right? So you have to run the command with -a, -b, and give all that every time you want to run a command. That is what I don't want to do, and that is what we are going to see in this video, right? Okay, so this was the Ansible command. Now I am going to write an Ansible playbook to run a command within the playbook and get a nicer output which we get on a playbook execution. To save the time, I have already written that playbook. So the playbook is run command.yaml. Okay, so it is in the YAML format. I'm not going into the details of everything, but I'll try to quickly explain what this playbook is doing. It is just a name to give to the playbook. So I have given the name that I am running a command with sudo user on all hosts. It should be executed, and I'm using become method sudo, and I'm using become user as root. So I have given these two options earlier which we used in -b in the playbook itself, and I'm saying become is equal to true. That means become to the root and use sudo permissions. Gather facts, it is about gathering some facts about the remote server whenever you run the playbook. So I don't want to gather any facts, so I have given it false. Now I'm using a var prompt. So this is important in this playbook. And here I am giving a name to a variable, and here I am giving a prompt to user that enter the command to execute, and I'm saying private is equal to no. If you give private is equal to yes, then whatever you enter it is gonna be hidden, but I don't want to hide it, so I'm giving private is equal to no. And then this is a task I'm running, so it is again a task name, and the command I'm using this variable here, right? CMD name. So this variable, whatever you give at the runtime as command, that will be run as command, and I'm using the command module from the playbook. And then I'm registering the output of that command in another variable. And then I'm writing the output of that variable to the screen. Okay, so that's why I'm using std out lines here. Okay, so let's see how can we execute this playbook. So command to run the playbook is ansible playbook, and we have to give the run command our playbook name. And there is an option which I always run before running any playbook on the enterprise. Here it is not of the importance, but in enterprise you would probably want to run this command before executing. So what I do, list host. So what it is gonna show me, or what all servers this playbook is gonna run. So why it is important, by mistake if your host file is having some servers which is not, you are supposed to run the command, or by mistake if you have your Ansible configuration routing to a separate host file, then you can risk of running the sudo commands whatever you are trying to run on the servers where you did not intend to, right? So that's why I'll always recommend that before running any playbook, just run list host first. Okay, now when we are sure that these are the servers we want to run in, we can simply run like this. Now again, there is something which I'm missing here intentionally, so let me run it and show me what I'm missing. Okay, so let's give the command what we wanted to, like etc sudoers, right? If you see, we are again seeing the missing sudo password error. So as we figured out earlier that this can be fixed by just adding -k, that means capital K and small k option here. So it will ask us the password. So there you go. It is asking me the password. And now if I give the command again, it is gonna execute fine. So let's try that. You see there? So this is the output which I was talking about. So when you're running on hundreds of servers, In the playbook, it gives a nice play recap at the last where you can see what servers were unreachable, if it was failed, I mean, some of your tasks failed, or it is skipped, or it ignored some errors, or whatever happened. So if you see here, it says OK to for both of them. There is no failed errors, right? So I know that whatever command I ran, it executed successfully there. Okay, and if you see here the output too, I can recognize here itself that okay, this server Ubuntu 03 was okay, and this output is for Ubuntu 03. And if you see the braces here, so it is all the braces until the end of that output, right? And this is for Ubuntu 01, right? And all the output from that file is shown here, correct? So this looks way better and nicer than what we simply ran with the Ansible-A option, not with the playbook, right? But one more thing which I want to show you here on the command. So we excluded all the options manually. Then why we have to keep this -kk option, right? So how to get rid of that? If you see here, the ansible.cfg file, which we created last time, this has just three entries, default entries, the basic, very basic to start you with, right? That's what we saw in the last video. But there is a file which I created just to show you as demo. There I have added three more lines. If you see here, the last three lines, ask pass and become ask pass. That is what the hyphen small k and hyphen capital K does, right? So it asks for the SSH password and it asks for the sudo password. So if we add these three lines to our ansible.cfg, let me do that using copy. Okay, so now our ansible.cfg is written with those three additional lines, right? So now we don't even need to give that -k option. It is simply gonna ask you the password for SSH and the sudo, and you can simply hit enter for the sudo password, and whatever command you want to run, you can run it. You can run the simple commands too, like we were running with the uname with the command options, but that is not the purpose of using Ansible or the playbook, right? Because those commands you can simply run with the remote SSH option too, right? I mean, running the commands using remote SSH, right? But you want to use Ansible to run the commands which need sudo, which needs root permission, which cannot be simply run by remote SSH execution option, correct? But it's not like that you cannot run them, you can still run them. So that's what I'm doing here. So let's run uname-r option and see how it goes. There you go. If you see here, it gave me the simple output for my uname-r command for both the servers, Ubuntu 01 and Ubuntu 03, 112 and 111, right? And here, if you see, again, the recap, it looks all nice and good, correct? So this was all about how you can run a command. Now I'm gonna show you another example how to execute a script. So to execute a script, I have already created a playbook to show you like I had created for the command. So it is not much different from what we saw for the command. All these parameters, everything is same. And I have just changed this module from command to script. I am still asking for the script name, the variable, like I was asking for the command name variable. Now I am asking for the script name variable, and again I am taking the output of that and just writing it down on the screen, right? So let's run this playbook. And to run this playbook, I have created a script too, just to show you this same thing. So I'm still reading the etc sudoers from a script. And why I'm using etc sudoers, because that is the easiest file which we know that needs sudo permissions, and other than root no one can read it, right? So let's try to run that script using the Ansible playbook, and the playbook we ran to run the script. Oops, Ansible playbook and run script. Okay, and because we have changed the Ansible configuration file, we don't have to give -kk option. Okay, so let me give the password, hit enter, and now I will give this script to be executed from here. So I'm on the same path, so I'll just give this. Okay, so a script has to be executed like this, so you can simply give the dot slash and the file name if the script is at same location, and if it is at different location you can give the location of that script. Now let's hit enter. There you go. So if you see, it gave me almost the similar output for what we saw when we ran the command run command dot yaml, right? So that playbook and this playbook output is same because we used a script which was using cat etc sudoers within itself, right? But if you see, we ran the script this time. We did not run a command. So you can run any of your scripts which you want to execute on remote servers at once using sudo through ansible playbook and this simple script. Now, this was all I wanted to show in this video, and why I wanted to show this because passing those all long parameters on command line every time, I didn't like it, and that is why I automated all this, make it shorter for myself. And if you see this, it is simply asking me at the runtime what do you want to execute. It is not something you have to embed in the command itself with -a option that okay, I'm running this command, and then next time you want to run it you go to -a, scroll to the -a option, and then you change the command and all that, right? So I can simply run this playbook, run a script or run command, and I can simply enter the command or the script at the runtime and quickly change those commands or the scripts and re-execute, correct? So it saves a lot of time for me, and I would assume that it will save a lot of time for you too. So go ahead and write your own playbooks if you want to. So I hope you would have liked this video and it will be useful for you too. So that was all. Thank you for watching.